Thomas Wilson and I started Nailbiter in 1987. We experimented with different styles for a while and decided it was time to focus on what rock is really about. Squealing guitars, screaming fans, and being totally zonked out all the time. It's just what it is.
The two of us were looking for a guitarist that shared our vision. We went to Woodstock 87, and that's where we saw him.
Ari Hellraiser Halloran, the demon of Chesterfield. Just what a legend.
Ari was crazy, man, but that kind of crazy is just what we were looking for.
We fleshed out a group called Nailbiter because our vocalist, Steven Stackman, he couldn't stop biting his nails.
I can't stop.
The original lineup was Thumbs, John, Stephen, Ari, and Archie Tempston on rhythm guitar. He was brought in by Ari and he really complemented his style.
Ari was always the face of the band, even back then, you know. Every song we wrote had to have like a 16-minute guitar solo. The crowd couldn't get enough of the Hellraiser.
Eventually, Ari realizes he more or less has control of the band, and he had some opinions.
He started getting irritated with Thumbs. Every day he seemed to have some new grievance with him.
All he does is thump, thump, thump. It's so goddamn... It's like a bloody slug, mate. No, fuck you.
So Ari replaced him with a guitarist.
Tommy Crush. I wasn't on board at first, but, emphasizing the guitar part of bass guitarist, it just works.
Tommy was faster than Thumbs. He was cooler than Thumbs. He had more thumbs than Thumbs. And fans just love guitars. I can't even really be mad at the guy. I kind of look up to him, to be honest. The band seemingly improved overnight. It was going great. But then there was Steven.
Harry had a lot of problems with old Stevie. He couldn't sing high enough. His voice was hoarse at the end of long shows, and he kept getting blood all over the gear.
I can't stop.
So Ari replaced him with a guitarist.
Sam Stackman, Steven's brother. You see, he was actually born mute, and he learned the guitar to compete with his brother's amazing vocals. I'd actually thought about bringing him in before I met Harry. When I heard that Sam was in and Steven was out, that's when I knew things were really getting going.
But then something new was bothering Harry. I noticed that whenever John went for a fill or clapped the hi-hat tight, his left eye would just start twitching. He had some kind of problem with it. So I pulled him aside to figure out what the issue was. And he said to me, "That drum is too staccato. It don't fit. It don't fit at all." I knew he was trying to replace him with a guitarist.
Lots of bands have many guitarists. Some don't have bassists, Few don't have vocalists, but throwing out percussion entirely was unheard of. Our producer wouldn't allow it.
So, Ari replaced him with a guitarist.
And there it was. The first all-guitar rock band was born.
There were no hard feelings at first, but I was pretty skeptical. Guitarists famously have massive egos, and to have 5 in there with a 6th producing, I just don't know how to handle it.
Reginald, especially, bore the brunt of Harry's anger. He was a guitarist too, so he could handle it, but hell hath no fury like Harry. They didn't call him the Hellraiser for nothing.
The news was pretty light after that final lineup change. Things got pretty quiet. For a minute I thought the band had just died. But then, it happened.
Guitarmy Battalion. Just...
Battalion climbed the charts like a squirrel on meth. It was nuts. And you like that? Fuck you.
And for good reason, because this album was amazing.
Within days, the band announced a 567-city tour, all of them in Germany.
It just made economic sense. They could walk between venues.
Well, I think the pressure got to their heads. You see, on August 17th, they had a show in Lichtenberg at 5 p.m. and a show in Hamburg at 5:30. and they were running behind, but they really lived that rock and roll lifestyle. They weren't going to let anything stop them, so they just drove right through the Berlin Wall.
There was massive public outcry. The band had to cancel all of their shows, issue a bunch of apologies, sell all the guitars. It seemed like the band was over right then and there. But it wasn't. I get called from UK band in need of rehabilitation. At the time, I was the premier tour manager in Europe. I had worked with such acts as the Naughty Boys, King James Peach Orchard, even the Dead Mozart Society. When Nailbiter brought me in, I knew they needed a big comeback. And I knew just the thing.
Simultaneous European tours. They were doing a show in Rome, opening for the Scorpions in Prague, heading back to Rome for an encore, kicking the Scorpions out of their own show in Dusseldorf, doing an open mic in Barcelona. That was a typical afternoon for Nailbiter on tour.
They accomplished this with the Concorde supersonic jet, capable of crossing the Atlantic Ocean in 3 hours. The expense was rather high, but it was covered in about 1 day of ticket sales. The sonic boom was how you knew Nailbiter was in town.
Harry needed a pilot, and one that could be paid in beer. Luckily, I knew his half-sisters, brothers, cousins, ex-wife's uncle's dentist, so we connected. I flew the boys from Amsterdam to Rome, Paris to Stockholm, Oslo to Luxembourg, and Edinburgh to Edinburgh. One time, Harry forgot his favorite condom. And, flew boys all over the place, really. You know, I think the jet lag would have caught up to me if I hadn't been drunk the whole time.
The entire world wanted in on the Nailbiter craze, so I had the lads add an international tour on top of their European tours, which were only about 2 days in. The band had to start parachuting into venues and playing multiple songs at the same time, but it worked.
Things were going great for Nailbiter. People kept listening to their music, they kept getting booked for shows. They went different cities every day, and every day I'd get a postcard in the mail from whatever city they were in that just said, "Fuck you, John." Harry.
Igor was getting worried they were overbooked, but then he caught the boys playing a secret fourth tour in the Indian Ocean between sets, and they just kept rocking and rolling, you know.
And then for good measure, the band had one final tour to draw a penis on the map. They called it the Up Yours Truly Tour, and they meant every word of it.
You just wanted the party to go on forever, but sooner or later, everything's got to come to an end.
November 15th, 1989. After just 2 weeks, Battalion went quintuple platinum. Unfortunately, the good times were going to be cut short.
The entire band died in separate rear-end collisions that night. Except Reginald. I never understood that part.
It was heartbreaking to see such an innovative group snuffed out so quickly. At first I was saddened. Then I was confused. How the fuck does that kind of thing happen?
I went to the 5 simultaneous funerals. Reginald was there too. He gave me a high five, which I thought was kind of weird. When I think about it.
Nailbiter, however, lives on. Whenever 2 lads play back-to-back and ignore the rest of the bands, that's Nailbiter. Whenever a lead guitarist totally eclipses everyone else, that's Nailbiter. Whenever a 16-minute guitar solo makes it on the radio waves, that's Nailbiter. That's Guitar Me Battalion, that's Harry Alwyn. Rock in peace, Harry.